People voted Awami League to power for 3 consecutive terms as killers can never bring democracy, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at discussion marking Martyred Intellectuals Day.
যারা মানুষ হত্যা করার পরিকল্পনা করে তারা কোন গণতন্ত্র দেবে আমি জিজ্ঞাসা করি। এটা কি বাংলাদেশের মানুষ বোঝে না? নিশ্চয়ই বাংলাদেশের মানুষরা বুঝতে পারে, এই জন্যই তো তাদের আন্দোলনের সাড়া দেয় না। আমরা এদেশকে আর কখনো এই পরাজিত শক্তির হাতে তুলে দেব না।
Nation observes Martyred Intellectuals Day as the President and the Prime Minister pay tributes to the greatest sons of the soil at Mirpur Intellectual Martyrs Mausoleum. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina pays respect to Father of the Nation at his portrait in Dhanmondi. People across life throng Mirpur Intellectual Mausoleum and Raya Bazaar Killing Field to pay respect to the martyred intellectuals. Ubaidul Qadir calls for the continuation of the fight against the defeated forces of 1971 as they are still active. Country would have progressed further if BNP Jamaat shunned evil politics, says Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. 43 more redeem candidature for election into the 12th National Parliament on the 5th day of appeal hearing. Palestinians in Gaza in dire condition following indiscriminate bombings of Israel coupled with heavy winter rain. 63 journalists have been killed in Hamas-Israel conflict so far. And Bangladesh 11 beat New Zealand 11 by 26 runs in a warm-up one-day match in Lincoln. Assalamu alaikum. Those were the headlines from tonight's news at 10 on BTV and BTV World. I'm Mahmoud Rahman. Details of those and other stories coming up.
জালেম আমার সম্পদ দিতে পারে, জালেম আমার টাকা নিতে পারে, জালেম আমার ঈমান দিতে পারে নাই, জালেম আমার মাটি দিতে পারে নাই। ইনশাআল্লাহ যদি বাংলার মানুষ সৎ পথে থাকে, ভালোভাবে কাজ করে, ইমানদারির সঙ্গে কাজ করে, আমি বিশ্বাস করি সোনার বাংলার মানুষ আবার সোনার বাংলা করতে পারবে।
The nation observed the Martyred Intellectuals Day today across the country in a befitting manner. Just 2 days ahead of the country's cherished victory in the year of 1971, the occupation Pakistan Army, in collusion with their local collaborators Al-Badr, Al-Shams and Razakars, butchered the prominent intellectuals of the country in a bid to cripple the newly emerging nation, Bangladesh. Meanwhile, marking the Martyrs Intellectuals Day, President Mohammad Shahabuddin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina called upon all to play an effective role for their respective positions to build Shonar Bangla, imbued with the spirit of the Liberation War and the sacrifice of the martyred intellectuals. Prime Minister and Awami League President Sheikh Hasina has said those involved in arson violence and uprooting rail line fish plates are the accomplices of the defeated forces of 1971, reiterating the pledge that the country would never be handed over to them. She made the remarks while presiding over a discussion marking the Martyred Intellectuals Day organized by the Awami League at Bangabandhu International Conference Centre in Dhaka this afternoon. The Prime Minister urged the countrymen to remain alert about conspiracies being hatched by the defeated forces at home and abroad and build collective resistance against any sort of violence as they are out to thwart the upcoming general election. She asked the people to say no to them, saying they have no right to do politics in Bangladesh. The Premier came down heavily on Tariq Rahman for giving order to kill people by launching arson terrorism and uprooting fish plates of the railway lines staying abroad, although he left the country in 2007 by giving a bond of not doing politics. How can they establish democracy by killing people? The killers can never give democracy, she added.
যেমন জিয়াউর রহমান তেমন খালেদা জিয়া, আর ছেলেও একটা সেই অমানুষ পয়দা করেছে। যদি জনগণের কল্যাণে কাজ করে, জনগণের স্বার্থে কাজ করে, জনগণের জন্য আন্দোলন করে, তারা নাকি গণতন্ত্র উদ্ধারের জন্য আন্দোলন করবে। আর গণতন্ত্র বানান করতে পারে? আর গণতন্ত্ররা শিখেছে? যারা মানুষ হত্যা করার পরিকল্পনা করে তারা কোন গণতন্ত্র দেবে আমি জিজ্ঞাসা করি। এটা কি বাংলাদেশের মানুষ বোঝে না? নিশ্চয়ই বাংলাদেশের মানুষরা বুঝতে পারে, এই জন্যই তো তাদের আন্দোলনের সাড়া দেয় না। হানাদার বাহিনীর দোসর যারা ছিল এরাই তাদের প্রেতাত্মা হয়ে এদেশের মানুষের বিরুদ্ধে চক্রান্ত করে মানুষ হত্যা করে যাচ্ছে, আর হত্যার পরিকল্পনা করছে। কাজে তাদের থেকে সাবধান, এবং আর কোথাও এই ধরনের ফিশ প্লেট তুলে ফেলা, আগুন দেওয়া, যখনই যে করতে যাবে সরাসরি তাদেরকে ধরতে হবে, তাদের বিরুদ্ধে ব্যবস্থা নিতে হবে। আর যারা এই যে জ্বালাও পোড়াও করে, রেল লাইনে ফিশ প্লেট তুলে ফেলে, এরা তো পরাজিত শক্তির দালাল, পরাজিত শক্তির দোসর। কাজে এদেরকে না বলুন, এদের বাংলাদেশে রাজনীতি করারই কোনো অধিকার নাই। কারণ এই খুনি, সন্ত্রাসী, জঙ্গিবাদ, দুর্নীতিবাজ, এদের বাংলাদেশে কোনো স্থান নাই। বাংলাদেশ স্বাধীন দেশ, বাংলাদেশের মানুষ তাদের গণতান্ত্রিক অধিকার, ভোটের অধিকার ফিরে পেয়েছে। তারা ভোটের অধিকার প্রয়োগ করবে, তারা শান্তিতে বাস করবে, উন্নত জীবন পাবে, সেটাই আমাদের লক্ষ্য। কাজে যারা আমাদের জীবন দিয়ে গেছেন, সেই আমাদের বুদ্ধিজীবী সহ সকল শহীদের প্রতি আমরা আমাদের শ্রদ্ধা জানাই, এবং জাতির পিতা বঙ্গবন্ধু শেখ মুজিব সহ 15 আগস্টে যারা শাহাদাত বরণ করেছেন তাদের প্রতি শ্রদ্ধা জানিয়ে এটুকুই বলবো, আমরা এদেশকে আর কখনো এই পরাজিত শক্তির হাতে তুলে দেব না। বাংলাদেশ মাথা উঁচু করে চলবে এবং বাংলাদেশ এগিয়ে যাবে। জাতির পিতার ক্ষুধা দারিদ্র্যমুক্ত সোনার বাংলা হিসেবেই বিশ্ব দরবারে মাথা উঁচু করে চলবে। বাঙালি জাতি মুক্তিযুদ্ধে বিজয়ী জাতি, বিজয়ী জাতি হিসেবেই তারা মাথা উঁচু করে চলবে শহীদের কাছে, এটাই আমাদের অঙ্গীকার।
Awami League Presidium members Sheikh Fazlul Karim Salim, Central Executive Body Member Advocate Tarana Halim, Dhaka North City Awami League President Sheikh Bozlur Rahman, noted educationist Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafar Iqbal, Professor Dr. Nuzhat Chaudhry addressed the function, while General Secretary of the Sammilito Sankritik Jot Ahkamullah read out a brief part from the book Sheikh Mujib Amar Pita, written by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Awami League Publicity and Publications Secretary Dr. Abdul Subhan Golab and his deputy Sayyid Abdul Awal Shamim moderated the discussion. President Mohammad Shahabuddin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina paid rich tributes to the martyred intellectuals by placing wreaths at the Martyred Intellectuals Memorial at Mirpur in the city today on the occasion of the Martyred Intellectuals Day. At first, President Mohammad Shahabuddin paid tributes by placing wreath at the memorial. Just after the President, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina placed the wreath at the altar of the monument. After placing wreaths, the President and the Prime Minister stood in solemn silence for some time as a mark of respect to the memories of the great heroes who sacrificed their lives for the cause of the country and the nation at the fag end of the War of Liberation in 1971. Smartly turned out contingent of Bangladesh Army presented the state salute. The bugle played the last post. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, also Bangladesh Awami League chief, placed wreath at the memorial along with senior party leaders and her cabinet colleagues on behalf of the party. Later, President Mohammad Shahabuddin and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina talked to the war-wounded freedom fighters and family members of the martyred intellectuals. Later, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina went to Dhanmondi and laid a wreath at the portrait of the Father of the Nation in front of Bangabandhu Memorial Museum to pay homage to the architect of the independence, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. After placing the wreath, she stood in solemn silence for some time to show profound respect to the great leader of Bangladesh. Flanked by party leaders, Sheikh Hasina, also the president of the Awami League, placed another wreath at Bangabandhu's portrait as the party chief as well. Following Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, various political, social, cultural, volunteer and professional organizations laid wreaths at the portrait of the Father of the Nation in front of the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in the capital's Dhanmondi to pay homage to the architect of independence, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, marking the Martyred Intellectuals Day. Dhaka Metropolitan North and South Awami League, Awami Jubo League, Awami Shechchashebok League, Bangladesh Chhatra League, Mohila Awami League, Jubo Mohila League, Bangladesh Krishok League, Jatiyo Shromik League and other associate bodies of the Awami League paid rich tributes to Bangabandhu. They recalled the great sacrifices of Bangabandhu and martyred intellectuals for the country. Meanwhile, people from all walks of life thronged the Martyred Intellectuals Memorial in Mirpur in the capital, marking Martyred Intellectuals Day today. In addition, different political, social, cultural and professional organizations paid homage to the bright stars of the nation who were brutally murdered by Pakistani forces in association with their local agents. People started thronging there in droves in the morning and demanded repatriation of al-Badr leaders Ashrafuzzaman Khan and Chaudhry Mainuddin, who were directly involved in the killings of intellectuals in 1971. They also demanded execution of the verdict involving the two culprits for killing the intellectuals. They stressed the need for upholding the spirit of the Great Liberation War. Meanwhile, after paying tributes at the Martyred Intellectuals Memorial in Mirpur, Awami League General Secretary and Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir said the defeated evil forces of 1971 are still active, so struggles against them will continue.
একাত্তরের যে অপশক্তি আমাদের এই জাতির শ্রেষ্ঠ সন্তানদের হত্যা করেছিল, সেই সাম্প্রদায়িক অপশক্তি এখনো বাংলার মাটিতে ডালপালা বিস্তার করে আছে এবং এরাই আমাদের স্বাধীনতার শত্রু, এরাই আমাদের বিজয়ের শত্রু, এরাই আমাদের বিজয়কে সংহত করার পথে প্রধান অন্তরায়। কাজে আজকে আমাদের অঙ্গীকার, বাংলাদেশকে সাম্প্রদায়িকতা মুক্ত করতে হলে বিএনপি জামাতের নেতৃত্বে যে অপশক্তি আজকে আমাদের স্বাধীনতার প্রতি হুমকি প্রদর্শন করে যাচ্ছে এবং আমাদেরকে সাম্প্রদায়িকতার পথে নিয়ে যাওয়ার, পাকিস্তানি ভাবধারায় নিয়ে যাওয়ার, ফিরিয়ে নেওয়ার ষড়যন্ত্র করছে, সন্ত্রাস করছে, এই সাম্প্রদায়িক অপশক্তিকে বঙ্গবন্ধু কন্যা শেখ হাসিনার নেতৃত্বে আমরা এদের বিরুদ্ধে লড়াই অব্যাহত রাখব।
Information and Broadcasting Minister and Awami League Joint General Secretary Dr. Hassan Mahmood has said the BNP, in association with the anti-independence force Jamaat, is doing evil politics in the country. Bangladesh would have made much more advancements if there had been no such evil politics, he added. Dr. Hassan Mahmood said this after paying homage at the memorial in Rai Bazar killing ground today.
শহীদ বুদ্ধিজীবী দিবসে যাদেরকে হত্যা করা হয়েছিল বাঙালি জাতির স্বাধীনতার লক্ষ্যে মনন তৈরি করার জন্য, তারা বঙ্গবন্ধুর সহযোগী হিসাবে কাজ করেছিলেন। লেখনীর মাধ্যমে, বক্তব্যের মাধ্যমে, নানাভাবে তারা কাজ করেছিলেন, কিন্তু বাঙালি জাতিকে পঙ্গু করা যায়নি। এবং গত 52 বছরের বেশি সময়ের পথ চলায় বঙ্গবন্ধুর স্বপ্ন বাস্তবায়নের পথে বঙ্গবন্ধু কন্যা জননেত্রী শেখ হাসিনার নেতৃত্বে বাংলাদেশ বহুদূর এগিয়ে গেছে। আমরা বঙ্গবন্ধুর সমস্ত স্বপ্নের বাস্তবায়ন ইতিমধ্যেই করতে পারতাম যদি বিএনপি স্বাধীনতা যারা চায়নি, স্বাধীনতাকামী মুক্তিযোদ্ধাদের বিরুদ্ধে যারা লড়াই করেছে, যুদ্ধ করেছে পাকিস্তানিদের হয়ে, সেই জামাতে ইসলামীকে তারা সাথে নিয়ে তারা রাজনীতি করছে, অপরাজনীতি করছে। এই অপরাজনীতি যদি দেশে না থাকতো, দেশ আজকে বহুদূর এগিয়ে যেতে পারত।
People of all walks of life, including various political, social and cultural organizations, paid rich tribute to martyred intellectuals by placing wreaths at Rar Bazar Martyred Intellectuals Memorial, marking the Martyred Intellectuals Day. Bangladesh Awami League and its associated organizations also paid homage to the martyred intellectuals. Awami League General Secretary Obaidul Qadir paid tribute on behalf of the party. Later, Liberation War Affairs Minister AKM Mozammel Haq paid homage to intellectual martyrs. He said the government will soon publish the list of martyred intellectuals. Dhaka Metropolitan North and South Awami League, Awami Jubo League, Awami Shetchashebok League, Bangladesh Chhatra League, Mohila Awami League, Jubo Mohila League, Bangladesh Krishok League, Jatiyo Stromik League, teachers and students of various educational institutions also paid tributes to the great souls of the nation. They also vowed to build a Razakar, al-Badr and al-Shams-free, non-communal Bangladesh. Meanwhile, leaders of the Sector Commanders Forum and Liberation War 1971 formed a human chain demanding international recognition of Intellectual Martyrs Day. Another 43 candidates got back their candidature on the fifth day of the hearing of appeals filed against the cancellation of nomination papers for the 12th Jatiyo সংসদ elections. The Election Commission, led by Chief Election Commissioner Qazi Habibul Awal, disclosed this at the Nirbachon Bhavan in the capital today. The appeal hearing will continue from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day till December the 15th. Cold winter rains and flooding is what we talk about the Gaza crisis as we head into international news. Cold winter rains and flooding have added to the misery and death engulfing northern Gaza. Israeli attacks had already pulverized Gaza's sewage system, and the flooding has now filled streets with the decay of war. Tens of thousands of displaced people are struggling to stay dry in tents and other makeshift shelters amid food and water shortages, as well as the looming threat of disease and starvation. Meanwhile, 63 journalists have been killed since Hamas-Israel war broke out on October the 7th. The media advocacy group Reporters Without Borders, RSF, said this in an annual report published today. Meanwhile, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza today issued an update saying 179 people have been killed by Israeli attacks in the last day. The total number killed since the fighting erupted has risen to about 18,800, with nearly 51,000 more people wounded, the ministry says. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to formalize its impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. Lawmakers voted along party lines to back a resolution that Republicans say will give them more power to gather evidence and enforce legal demands. 3 Republican-led House committees allege bribery and corruption during Mr. Biden's tenure as U.S. Vice President. But they have yet to produce proof of wrongdoing, and the President says his opponents are attacking him with lies. The lower chamber of Congress, which Republicans control by a slim 8-seat margin, approved the inquiry on Wednesday by a vote of 221 to 212. Voting to authorize an inquiry is not the same as voting for impeachment, but it advances the likelihood that a House will seek to impeach Biden early next year. Now, weather. The Met Office, in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow, said weather may remain dry with temporary partly cloudy skies over the country. Moderate to dense fog may occur from midnight to morning over the country. Night temperature may fall by 1 to 2 degrees Celsius and day temperature may remain nearly unchanged over the country, said the Met Office. On now to sports news. Bangladesh defeated New Zealand 11 by 26 runs in a warm-up one-day match in Lincoln. As a result, the Tigers prepared with a win before the start of the main one-day series. Batting first, Bangladesh scored 334, losing all wickets in 49 overs and 5 balls. Rishad Hussain top-scored with 87 runs for the team. Besides, Tanzid Hassan Tamim scored 58 off 46 balls, Shomo Sharkar scored 59 off 56 balls, and Liton Dash scored 55 off 63 balls. Anamul Haq Bijay scored 33 runs off 26 balls. In reply, New Zealand 11 managed to score 308 in 49 overs and 2 balls. The 3-match ODI series will begin on December the 17th. The win will give extra confidence to the tourists before going to the main fight with the Kiwis. To end the bulletin, here once again are the main points. People voted Awami League to power for 3 consecutive terms as killers can never bring democracy, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at discussion marking Martyred Intellectuals Day. Nation observes Martyred Intellectuals Day as the President and the Prime Minister pay tribute to the greatest son of the soil at Mirpur Intellectual Martyrs Mausoleum. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina pays respect to Father of the Nation at his portrait in Dhanmondi. People across life throng at Mirpur Intellectual Martyrs Mausoleum and Raya Bazaar Killing Field to pay respect to the martyred intellectuals. Obaidul Qadir calls for the continuation of the fight against the defeated forces of 1971 as they are still active. Country would have progressed further if BNP Jamaat shunned evil politics, says Information and Broadcasting Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood. "43 more redeem candidature for election to the 12th National Parliament on the 5th day of appeal hearing. Palestinians in Gaza in dire condition following indiscriminate bombings of Israel coupled with heavy winter rain. 63 journalists have been killed in Hamas-Israel conflict so far. And Bangladesh 11 beat New Zealand 11 by 26 runs in a warm-up one-day match in Lincoln. That's all from the newsroom for now. Thank you for being with us. If you can, please do join us for our news at 11:30. Until then, please keep your homestead neat and clean to save yourself from dengue.